that concludes our day 2 of our program, where we talked about some real interesting things about how we can change the payments, how we can change various applications throughout the different parts of the business, as well as the open banking and what it brings. To me personally, I think the biggest takeaways from today's session was from the first talk about how companies can actually solve big almost unsolvable problems, right? Like Swift, what else can you use? But just applying a little bit of the innovation, even a bigger problem could be solved with a smaller solution. That I think was my main takeaway, is that don't be afraid to try, even like the problems that seems to be very rigid, very set in place. You can still benefit from them if you apply a little bit of innovation to them. From this second conversation, and I think it's very resonates with the concept of the radical transparency, that a lot of companies, a lot of people are willing to share the data, willing to share their proprietary almost ways of making money with others, because it can actually provide them as a service, right? So for example, if you, and actually I posted a LinkedIn post recently about it, that if you have an access to some data, or you're doing maybe some function better than others, why not use it as a revenue service? Why not use that particular service, that particular function that you're really good at, to sell to the others, and to share? By sharing this information, by providing the services to the others, you can actually generate additional source of income and decrease your operational expenses. So I think that is something that kind of goes along with the shared economy, right? Is that if you share in the car, if you're sharing the apartment, if you're sharing your house, why not share the data? There could be, you're not always using this data, but it can provide the benefits to others, and it can increase the overall stability and the interest and the opportunities for you in the business. So that's kind of my key takeaways from today's session. Anyone wants to share? Anyone wants to share about their takeaways? Carlton, I know you had a couple of questions, and you were interested in kind of blockchain and in general how it could be applied. Anything that you picked up for your Jacksonville maybe members, or maybe for your organization?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I thought both sessions were amazing for me, and I'm currently working on an open innovation project through our JAX chamber, with our organization kind of being a coordinator of large corporations and academic institutions. And one of the ways I think we can drive innovation is through this open banking, having some type of open banking initiative where we put these 4 problems out there: digital engagement, lending journey, wealth engagement, ID and consent management, and potentially have hackathons and different things like that for our financial partners. So really, really excited about what we heard today.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think it's really interesting concept in terms of what else can be created, right? Because it's almost, a lot of times people think that their data and what they do is so new and this is it, right? But I believe that this concept of open banking, just because you have access to this data and you redefine what is possible, right? Without those resources, you're limiting the barrier to entry significantly, meaning there could be more innovation, more brains, more excitement happening in that particular space. So maybe, with this open banking, in few years will drive something that we have not seen before, or we never thought about. That Laura, do you want to share a little bit of your kind of takeaways? Maybe some questions that were answered, some questions were not answered. So how did you feel about today's session? Laura, I know you're from the iPad, but if you can, if you can.
Sorry, here I am.
Yeah, perfect.
It was really, really interesting. I think the part that I was more interested in learning is mostly the payments.
Mhm.
That's one area that we are using your traditional Swift connectors and direct connections. We're getting a little bit more on blockchain, but getting more to know what is available, and especially focusing on the APIs. That's very helpful to me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also really important that overall integration companies like Plaid, right? They pretty much build their $5 billion company based on the integrations and payments and all of this. So I think it's really gives a lot of opportunities to think about how can, again, going back to the data, how this data could be baked in, and maybe even, let's say, even for your customers, maybe you're not directly using this particular transactions, but looking at those transactions from your customers with the seamless integration with their ability to increase the business, because it's easier, right? You can actually think about different products, you can think about different offerings. So as long as you have this data, you'd be able to provide better offerings to your customers.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. I liked it. Thank you.
Of course. And then Marcia, do you want to share some of your feedbacks from it?
Yeah, it's very interesting to know about the open banking, to share the customer's ID whenever they wanted to do so. And I'm just looking, but it's not applicable to my company now. So it's good to know.
It's coming, yeah, absolutely. Stuart, Innocent, any feedbacks from you? Any kind of understanding? Maybe something rang the bell. Maybe something was more interesting than others.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes. I mean, I think very, very interesting, discussions. Really, I must say, apart from, apart from the kind of, feedback that one gets from the presentation with respect to the kind of business that we're in, that is education in particular. This gives a good insight in terms of, the direction that we can take as an educational institution, particularly with respect to the technology aspect of financial education. As we move, forward into the future. I think there's a positive take that I've actually, kind of attained from the conversation today that can inform, curriculum development. But what I also found quite interesting is the insight into the whole, financial ecosystem with respect to bringing in the customer, particularly the individual, as far as the transparency of the financial ecosystem is concerned, that actually allows myself, or I as an individual who actually is a customer to a bank, for example, to play, a more informed, part within the ecosystem, as I get to understand exactly the value of my data within the various, actors or players within the financial ecosystem. And that in itself basically coupled or tied together with the financial education that one can get, particularly from the second presentation, actually would help a lot in building a society or a social economy that better understands, ways of investing their finances. And as a result, I see that actually trickling, even to the disadvantaged communities in terms of, the value that, let's say the middle sector economies may attain as a result of better financial education would actually, transcend, the value to those much lower. And apart from that, I see a whole, framework or algorithm, higher level algorithm that can be applied, to other social services, beyond just the financial sector. I think these two presentations for me, gave quite a very broad and a very granular insight into how, all these can also be adapted for addressing other, areas of the economy as well as the society in general.
Definitely. Stuart, and you wanted to add something as well.
No, I think apart from what Dr. Male has said, in terms of opportunities for, incorporation of such technologies in our curriculum, I've also now, I just, searched and discovered that very close to where we are in South Africa, you find, open banking. There's some disruptors already in that sector, and some entrepreneurs driving this open banking concept. And so I was thinking to myself that if we are always on the lookout for innovative and disruptive ideas out there, and we make sure that in our curriculum we fuse in such concepts that will help our students really get more and more opportunities for becoming entrepreneurs who are also disruptive in their own right. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you. I think that's it. Unless anybody else wants to share. Again, thank you so much for the second day. Sorry a little bit of the confusion for the first, the timing of the start of the program. I'm just getting a little bit confused with several things going on. So I apologize for that. But our next session is going to be this Friday, again at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. So same time as today. We're going to have two wonderful speakers who's going to talk to us about new ways of how we can bring the innovation from tomorrow to today. And we'll be talking about that. And I will, again, thank you so much. And I will see you all on Friday. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day or your evenings, wherever you are. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.